Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to At the Book on bet.nola.com. Brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook. I'm Zach Ewing along with Devin Jackson. He is live at the Caesars Sportsbook inside Harrah's New Orleans Casino. One day before, honestly, the first day of a pretty big New Orleans sports weekend, Devin, with the Zurich Classic, the PGA Tour in town all weekend, and then the Pelicans' first home playoff game in 4 years tomorrow night at the Blender, the Smoothie King Center, just up the road from where you're at. How's the mood down there? I mean, do you feel some Pelicans love? I know it's listen, we all know it's a Saints town first and foremost, but the Pelicans getting a lot of love.
Yeah, there's quite a few people here. Not sure they're placing bets on the Pelicans, but that I would assume if not today, tomorrow they'll be down here to place some bets. But yeah, it's an exciting time for New Orleans. We're off the heels of the national championship earlier this month, and got a bit of a surprise with the Pelicans not only making the playoffs, but in a really good position to push the Suns to the brink. So it's an exciting time for New Orleans in general, and like you said, the Zurich Classic as well.
Yeah, we will talk some Zurich in just a couple of minutes. Jim Derry is going to be alongside to drop some of his golf knowledge. Good afternoon to Jerry, a.k.a. the OG. How are you? Lisa gave us a fleur-de-lis. Hi, Lisa. We're excited to have you guys with us. Just a reminder, as always, we are brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook. If you have not signed up, we have a special offer here at bet.nola.com just for Louisiana users. For first-time users, your first bet is insured up to $1,100. So you sign on to the Caesars Sportsbook app, use code NOLA-CZR, or you can just make it easy and type in the URL NOLA.com/Caesars, and you get that offer automatically loaded in for first-time users. You make any bet, any amount up to $1,100. If you lose, you get that money back, basically. Now you have to bet it again. You can't just take it out. So it's not completely risk-free. I don't want to make it sound like it is. But you do basically get two chances to win a bet, and it could be a pretty big bet. And so your odds are dramatically increased. The other thing, Devin, that just came out an hour ago, as Jerry reminds us, NFL schedule release coming up May 12th. So unfortunately, our show that day will be before 8 o'clock Eastern, but we can speculate, right? We can we've been speculating what the Saints schedule will look like. And I do think a week before that, we find out who they play in their London game. Which Jeff Duncan tweeted out earlier today. It looks like it might be the Vikings, but that's one thing we're waiting on as well.
Yeah, I think it's at May 4th where we're getting knowledge of that international game, and the Saints are going international once again. So we'll see kind of how that affects their schedule. They already had their schedule messed up this past season because of the hurricane. So it'll be interesting to see, how or when is that international game. You would kind of hope it'd be earlier in the season compared to in the latter end, especially if things don't go too well to start the season.
Yeah, and listen, it's kind of a crossroads for the Saints, and we'll talk later about the NFL draft. But it's a week from tonight. Nick, we'll dunk on Jim while he's not here. Jim is having some technical problems. He'll be here. He will be here. Beat the Raiders at home, says Lisa, please. Yeah, the Raiders are at home. They also get the Cincinnati Bengals at home and Joe Burrow. Now, one of those home games will be in London, and the Bengals are one of the opponents that was mentioned. I hope they don't do that. I mean, Joe Burrow's homecoming, and Jamar Chase for that matter. Jamar Chase actually from New Orleans, so truly a homecoming. You can't move that game out of New Orleans. The Bengals won't be back for 8 years. Come on, guys, don't make that the game in London. The Vikings, that's fine. That's a good game for English people to see there at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But I sure hope the Bengals game is here.
Yeah, I think for their best interest, they should go ahead and allow it to be at the Dome because Saints fans are going to be quite conflicted. Obviously, you want to win the game, but two guys in Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow brought that coveted national championship to LSU a couple of years ago in that building for that matter too. This is going to be very, very interesting and see how people kind of react leading up to that week.
No, I'm not the last person to say it, Devin, but the pregame introductions for Joe and Jamar will be ear-splittingly loud cheers. And then when the whistle blows and the game starts, no more of that. People will cheer for their Saints, but they will cheer Joe and Jamar in the pregame. Yeah, and as Uncle Big Nick says, we'll find out if Goodell really hates New Orleans, he'll put the Bengals game and Joe and Jamar's homecoming in London and make people go overseas to see it, which would be a ridiculous decision. A ridiculous decision. Let's take a look here at the Zurich Classic odds. The tournament ongoing, first round still ongoing over at TPC Louisiana in Avondale. But the odds are up now, and your favorite right now is Jim joins us. Good timing, Jim. Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay are down to plus 350. And they're off to a hot start, although the leaders, it should be mentioned, are down there on that 20 to 1 line. Moore and Neesmith are at 12 under and in the clubhouse already, Jim.
Yeah, it's early. I mean, when they're going to a whole completely different format tomorrow when they're alternating shots. So I wouldn't take so much out of this best ball format. Let's see what happens tomorrow. That's why Schauffele and Cantlay are as low as they are. Horschel and Burns are doing okay. I have Varner and Watson. Their odds have gone from 28 to 20. It's not like your typical golf tournament. It's more one where if you want to bet it live, I think you're better off waiting until after tomorrow, or at least during tomorrow, because it's a completely different format tomorrow, and guys that won't be normally at the top, that's why today they might be at the top. Tomorrow they could easily shoot even par, and it's a different story.
And you see that reflected in the odds as well. Neesmith and Moore, as I mentioned, are in the clubhouse with a 12 under 60. That's not like shooting a 60 at another PGA event. It's best ball. So the scores are going to be lower. And then the trio tied for second, Lipsky and Rye, Garrigus and Gainey, Ryder and Redmond. Only one of those teams is even on, and that's Lipsky and Rye at the bottom, is even on this leaderboard, and they're at 25 to 1 still. So it's difficult to read. I will say for Cantlay and Schauffele, and then also the second group listed there, Billy Horschel and Sam Burns, off to very hot starts. They're both playing number 12, so they've still got more than a third of the round to go. Cantlay and Schauffele are already 9 under, and Horschel and Burns are already 8 under. So a pretty good chance one of those teams ends up in the 50s today and has the lead at the end of round 1.
Zach, one more thing I'll say is if you really wanted to bet something live, I would go with a team like Palmer and Scheffler, who you're actually getting at better odds than when they started at 1,400, because they are going to have a good day tomorrow. And Ryan Palmer has won this thing before, so he's been known to have some good partners, and you can't have a better partner than Scotty Scheffler right now. So if you're just dying to bet this thing live, I think that's probably your best odds at the moment.
All right, you can keep up with the Zurich Classic all weekend long on NOLA.com and bet.NOLA.com. Our team of Jeff Duncan, Scott Abelay, and Sheldon Mickles is out there all weekend, and that will wrap up on Sunday. But really, the Zurich got usurped. It has a strange place in the New Orleans sports calendar anyway, I think, and they can't be too happy that the Pelicans are in the playoffs the same weekend, because the news coverage is going to die down. And also, of course, the NFL draft coming up. But the big events in New Orleans sports this weekend, tomorrow night and Sunday night, games 3 and 4 of Suns and Pelicans. And let's see what we got here for tomorrow night. The Suns are 1.5-point favorites. This line's bounced around a lot. The Pelicans won game 2 on Tuesday night. Devin Booker was hurt. The line didn't come out until Wednesday because of that. Now it comes out. It came out at a pick'em, moved all the way up to Suns -2. Actually, I think it moved up to 2.5, then went back to 1. Now it's 1.5. Devin Booker's not playing. So how do we handicap this?
Yeah, this one's a tough one because despite the Suns not having Devin Booker, they're still the best team in the NBA, in my opinion. And I know without Devin Booker, that hurts them. But the Pelicans are in a spot where they had to play even better than I would think in game 3 than they did in game 2. And I think it's going to be because the Suns are going to come out a lot more motivated. You know, they're coming off a kind of a short title run. We talked about this a couple of nights ago. They're coming off a short title run, like in between the start of the season. So, you know, for them to win 64 games that short of a nose is still pretty impressive and shows the depth they have in their team. So I think for the Pelicans, they have to come out with the same energy they had really in the closing quarter and like the last 6 minutes of that third quarter, but also get contributions from the bench, because I think what Jackson Hayes was able to do in game 2, he's going to have to replicate or somehow top that performance for game 3, because the Suns are going to come ready to play.
Jim, this feels like a spot where the public might be all over the Pelicans.
Probably, because I'm going to be all over the Suns. I mean, I know Pelicans fans don't want to hear that, but as Devin said, I still think this is the best team in the NBA. I think you're getting great value for them to be just 1.5 point favorites, and better yet, I haven't looked, but I'm assuming the money line is around minus 130, minus 135-ish. Just extremely fantastic value on a Suns team that is highly motivated. I'd be less likely to be high on the Suns had they not lost game 2. But knowing where they are right now, I just think that the Suns are in a great spot here to cover. And it might be one of the best plays of the week.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I mean, I know people don't want to hear it. One of the reasons the Suns were so good is their depth. They're one of the few teams in the playoffs that can lose its best player. And I'm not saying it doesn't hurt, but they're still going to be okay. You know, imagine the Bucks without Giannis, the Nets without KD. The Warriors. The Warriors are a decent example of another team that could maybe survive it because they have. And the Celtics would be the other one, because it's hard to even pinpoint exactly who their best player is. But the Suns, I mean, they just come at you in waves. And even though without Devin Booker on the court, you could argue the Pelicans have the 2 best players on the court in Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum. The Suns might have 3, 4, 5, and 6. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to do this off the cuff, but the point is, this is still a very good team coming into the Smoothie King Center tomorrow night.
That might be the only team that can win without a Devin. I mean, we can't win without our Devin. So, we've
I get it.
That, right?
I get it. I was like, wait, who's our Oh, it's Devin.
Yeah, it took me a minute to connect the dots there, but no, I agree. I agree with your point. I think for the Suns,
he does.
He agrees with our point. I love it. Why wouldn't
for the Suns, I think Chris Paul is still the X factor in this, because if he decides to take over a game like he did in game 1. The Pelicans still don't have a great answer for that. I think they did a better job defending him, and obviously you can put Herb Jones on him now, which is a huge plus. But when he's getting to spots and hitting the mid-range, it's tough to defend him.
Yeah,
you might want to let somebody else
forget.
You might want to let somebody else do best bets tomorrow, because Pelicans fans probably won't want to read it if I do it.
I mean, we like making money too. Don't forget, however, Chris Paul has his own injury history. He's not getting any younger. They do have the advantage of have 2 days off, which will not happen again in this series, by the way. It's every other day starting tomorrow for the rest of the series. I don't know. I mean, Chris Paul has his own injury history. He's missed a bunch of playoff games. He doesn't play as many minutes now. If he were to go down as well, all of a sudden the playing field is really evened. And I know this is speculation, but it does have a history.
By the way, none of us are getting any younger.
That's true. That is true. Let's take a look at tonight's lines. Pelicans, of course, play tomorrow night. Tonight's NBA playoff lines. All of the home court advantage higher seeds are now going on the road. So you're going to see some closer lines here. You see the Grizzlies 2-point favorites in Minnesota. Same for the Warriors in Denver. And then the interesting one, this line's ticked up. It looks like Luka Doncic will not be able to play for the Mavericks. They are catching 7 points in Utah.
It's 8 now.
Yeah. And
it's again, moved to 8 in the last half an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is based off news. I just saw on the ticker about an hour ago, like, there's pessimism around Luka. Not only will he probably not play tonight, he may not play in game 4. He may not play in the series with that calf strain. making me question that plus 550 bet I put on the Mavericks to win the series on Monday. But I mean, listen, sometimes you take chances.
I think with that calf strain, we got to be real careful with that. We saw what happened with Kevin Durant a couple years ago. His last year with the Warriors, had that calf strain, and then kind of rushed him back a little bit, and we saw what happened with the torn Achilles. So if I'm the Mavs, unless you win tonight, I think you try not to rush him back. And I understand you always want to win NBA playoffs, but you got to find a way to have him back on the court, obviously, but healthy, because a calf strain is nothing to mess with, especially in the NBA game.
No, it's a good point. And I mean, I think whether they have Luka back or not, the Mavericks' goal this week is to split the 2 games in Utah, get back to Dallas at 2-2. And if you can do that, maybe then Luka's a little bit closer. You're talking 4 days from now. Maybe that's enough time for him to come back. And then Dallas has a chance. I mean, it's just a shame. They're one of the dark horse picks to make a run in the Western Conference playoffs, trying to play for the number 3 seed in the last game of the regular season. Luka gets hurt, and now they could be going out. So it's just like any other sport, but sometimes it's as much about your opportunity at that time and how good you are at that time as it is about how good you were for 80 games.
I actually like the Mavs tonight. That was when I was doing best bets. I don't love anything tonight. Like of last 2 nights to me were either super easy or I just saw things that I don't usually see. I don't know what it was, but because I've done really well the last 2 nights after donking off plenty of money over the weekend. But I like the Mavs tonight, and I also like the stat that you threw out yesterday that helped us win best bet yesterday. You talk about the Warriors and Nuggets. So down 0-2, the theory is you bet the Nuggets at home first half, kind of like we saw with the Raptors last night. It worked last night with the Raptors. I think the best bet of the day, maybe in the NBA, could be Nuggets first half. They're given 1.5 against the Warriors, and that seems like an easy bet to bet on Golden State. Just to think that Golden State is a push at halftime, it seems like it would be easy, but I don't think so. I think the Nuggets come out with some flair. I think that that big boy's going to be a little peeved after being thrown out of the game the other night. So I think the Nuggets are going to come out with some fire.
Yeah, the two bets I like in the NBA tonight are that one, the Nuggets first half, and then the other one would be the under in Dallas, Utah. I believe it's 208.5. I just, Dallas a pretty fast-paced team, and so is Utah. Those lines were way out of whack in the first 2 games because Dallas doesn't want to play fast-paced. They don't want more possessions without their guy. And Utah's perfectly happy with that, playing in the half court through Rudy Gobert. I'm still not sure the market's corrected enough on that one. I kind of like that under 208.5. I think you see another game in the 90s, maybe the low hundreds. Those are the 2 that I like.
And I will say, Zach, that a lot of times on those underlines, when any average Joe bettor who likes betting the NBA sees over under 210, they almost automatically bet the over. And I'm the opposite. So I agree with you. Lines makers aren't going to make those numbers under 210 unless they really see something there. So I think there's an excellent chance that game is under, and Dallas knows that it has to play as good a defense as it possibly can play to keep this game lower score, and if they have a chance to win it. And so it's a perfect chance to play the under, I think. I wish I would have thought of that when I was doing daily best bets an hour ago.
The game 2 went over, but it was a lot because Jalen Brunson caught fire. He scored 41 points. If that doesn't happen tonight, I see another game like game 1, which I think was it 97-91? Utah won something like. I mean, neither team got to 100, and so you could easily see something like that again tonight. So again, those are tonight's lines. Grizzlies -2. What do we think of that one, Devin? Obviously, very interesting series there. Memphis needs to get one of the 2 in Minnesota to get home court back.
Yeah, I don't love the line just because the Timberwolves could easily come out and do what they did in game 1 against the Grizzlies. And the Grizzlies are still a young team learning how to win. And I think this is going to be a true test for them to go on the road against a Grizzly or a Timberwolves team that has been clamoring for playoff time. So I actually like the Timberwolves tonight to cover.
Me too.
I just think the Grizzlies are just too inconsistent on a game-to-game basis for me. And I understand John Moran can have a special night, but after Anthony Edwards struggled in Game 2, I definitely expect him to bounce back in a big way Game 3.
Zach, the T-Wolves are our second best bet of the day.
There you have it.
If you look at the numbers, and there's so many inconsistencies with Memphis, I think this is going to be a 6 or 7 game series, and the T-Wolves are in a good spot here. Memphis has not won at Minnesota all year long, so the T-Wolves know how to beat them here. I think it's a good spot for them. I didn't take them with money line. I did take them with the +2. We'll go ahead and take the 2 points. But I think this is going to be a tight game. I think it's going to be the most fun game of the night. And I really think the T-Wolves are going to win.
Uncle Big Nick with the score update for us. Cantlay and Xander now 10 under through 12. So, yeah, it's best ball, but you don't see too many PGA rounds in the 50s.
No, but who cares about 59 in a best ball format? I mean, I'm not dismissing Nick. I'm just saying that they'll probably make more of a big deal about if it does happen than really. I mean, you're talking about two of the best players in the world playing a best ball, 59. So what? Now, if you shot 59 tomorrow, that would be something a heck of a story.
Your series prices in the Western Conference, moving on with the NBA here. And we just talked about Grizzlies T-Wolves. This is the one I'm interested in a little bit. I still see maybe a little bit of value in Minnesota there. Plus 220. I mean, I don't know that the series is completely a toss-up, but it may be closer to a toss-up than that price indicates.
Yeah, I think obviously there are 3 toss-ups here. But are the Suns really a toss-up? I think if you like Phoenix, and I do, this is the best price you're going to get them at. So bet Phoenix now if you want to bet Phoenix. I mean, it's hard not to bet the Pelicans if you're a Pelicans fan because you see them go from 1,500 to 240, and it's just like Saints fans. They win a couple games in a row, which basically the equivalent of one playoff game is the equivalent of winning 3 or 4 games in a row in the regular season. I mean, I don't get so hyped up. We said Monday not to overreact to what happened in the loss Sunday. Same thing here. You can't overreact to a win. So I think the Suns going from where they were to -300. I know that you lose Devin Booker, most likely for the series, but that is an incredible. That is by far the best price of anybody, of any team on this board. And I'm not sure I'm going to jump on it because I don't love any of these prices, but still the Suns are the best price on this board. And I think if you're going to bet anything, that's the one that I would bet on.
One thing I like, and right now it's off the board at Caesars, but if you could find a Suns -1.5 games, I don't know what that price would be, but you wouldn't have to pay -300. So maybe that means they may have to win Game 6 in New Orleans. But yeah. I think they could do that. I mean, I like this is a good team, and I'm not trying to put the Pelicans down, but you're going up against legitimately the best team in the NBA.
I think the Pels are going to win one of these 2 games. I'm not sure which one. I think more likely the second one, Game 4. So then you go to, are they going to win another one? And I just think if they get to a Game 6 and it's 3, they're down 3-2, I think you're going to see that's the spot where I kind of would like the Pelicans because I think they really play better when their backs are against the wall. And I guess it's because of Willie Green and what they've shown this in the playing game. They've shown this. They even in Game 1, they're down 20-something, and they could have quit. They cut to 6. They had all kinds of chances to fold in Game 2, and they didn't. So I think with backs against the wall scenario, I like the Pelicans if it gets to a Game 6 and they're down 3-2. Hence why I like the Suns in Game 3 because it's not quite as much pressure. I think the Pelicans actually play better when they have pressure on them.
Struggle as front runners, in other words. I mean, and in all honesty, Jim, we talked about it on Datitude this week. What a ride for Pelicans fans anyway. I mean, last Thursday, a week ago, I wasn't here, but y'all were talking about, okay, they beat the Spurs, And to me, that was the minimum they needed to do to
Right.
feel good about this season, was make the play-in game, win that home game. Okay, now we take our shot against the Clippers. We'll see what happens. If you lose, you lose. You made a good run. Well, then Paul George is out. They caught that break, took advantage of that break. Then they go to Phoenix, take a game off the best team in the NBA. Now you've caught another break. Devin Booker's out. Can you take advantage of this one? And they did in the end of game 2. Now, can they do it again by at least getting a split in New Orleans and going back to Phoenix? And then you're going to have to win another game in Phoenix is the problem. Really, the Pelicans' path to winning this series is winning both games in New Orleans, 3 and 4 here, and at that point you feel pretty good about your chances. But as you know, Nick hits it on the head here. This season's a success. They could lose by 25 points the next 3 games, and you still have to look on this season as a positive.
And they won't.
They won't. No, they won't lose by 25 in all 3 games. Let's move on to. Do we have our Eastern Conference prices? Doesn't look like we do. Your Eastern Conference prices
Live
are
TV,
a lot
folks.
more lopsided. What's that?
Live TV, folks.
Yep. Your Eastern Conference prices are a lot more lopsided. I'm just going to read them off to you. The closest one is actually the Bucks minus 280, Bulls plus 230. Then we've got Celtics minus 400, Nets plus 300. And then the other 2 really lopsided, Heat minus 2,000, Hawks plus 1,000. And the Raptors, who are down 3-0 in that series, are plus 3,000. And the 76ers, you got to pay 1 to 150. There you go. There's the Eastern Conference series prices. And I don't know. I mean, it's very difficult to see value here unless you think the Bulls or the Nets could pull it out. Maybe the Hawks at 10 to 1. I don't know, guys.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know what you would take on this board.
No.
If I had to take one, maybe the Bulls have some value if they can push the Bucks into a 6 or 7 game series. I mean, the Nets are kind of this do or die moment now, where they have to win game 3 or you can close the book on the series. And there's talks of maybe Ben Simmons returning, so maybe that's why they still have some value for game 4 at the very least. But if they lose game 3, I wouldn't even touch the Nets. I might not even touch them now, to be honest. They have to show me that they're going to win before you put more stock into them.
Jim?
I there's no value here. There's nothing on here that I would bet. You missed the boat on the Bulls. If I were forced to bet something, I would either take the Bulls at plus 230 or maybe the Celtics, but that minus 400, I don't like that. So there's really no value here. Again, and it's the same with the Pelicans. You missed the boat on the Pelicans. If you didn't bet them at 1,200 or 1,500 or whatever, you missed the boat. You can't bet it now. It's the same with the Bulls. I think what they were like 700 or 800 at one point, or even 900 maybe. But you can't bet it now. You missed it, so don't bet it now. Don't go chasing. Am I stuck or one of y'all?
I think I was stuck,
Okay,
but I'm back.
okay.
Is everybody there?
You missed a great analysis there. I mean, I don't.
I think I heard most of it, but I agree with you. I mean, look, if you had bet the Bulls yesterday, and frankly, game 1 was competitive, right? You could have gotten them at, I don't know what it was, 20 to 1, 25 to 1. Now it's plus 230. Like, you can't bet them now.
No, it's just you can't go chasing. Don't go chasing waterfalls.
You can't do that. And honestly, again, this is pretty instrumental too. If you liked Phoenix to win the title, they were plus 280 to begin the playoffs. All you got to do is wait for a little adversity. Now you can get them at 320.
It's kind of like live betting, Zach. If you like the underdog and you say, well, let me see how the game's going to start, and they get hot and they were 10-point underdogs, and then 6 minutes into the game they're like +2. I mean, you can't bet them then. It's too late to bet them then. You have to just suck it up or wait till the other team goes on a mini run, and maybe you can get them at +5 or something like that. But if you missed the boat in the beginning, if you like an underdog, take an underdog before the game or before the series. Hence, the other way around, I'm a kind of guy, if I like a favorite, unless I really, really love a line, I'm probably going to wait until the game starts because maybe the other team, chips into them a little bit or even takes the lead, and you can get a few points shaved off of that line. But if you like an underdog, whether it's in a series or a future or whatever, you got to take it before a game starts or before a series starts.
Now, having said that, the Nets have been plus 500 forever. We've been laughing at it all year long. Now they're 20 to 1 to win the title. I still don't think they're going to win the title.
No.
Is there anything here that jumps out to you? I mean, 76ers still 11 to 1, even though they're clearly getting out of the first round. But listen, they're going to be underdogs in every other series. They'll be underdogs against Miami, Milwaukee, Boston, and whoever survives the West. So you're still looking at having to win 3 series as an underdog for the Sixers there.
Go ahead, Devin.
I think there's still some value with Milwaukee at plus 650. I understand they don't look as good, and with the Middleton injury, that certainly hurts them a bit. But I think there's still some value there, and I'm a little surprised the Celtics are a little bit more favored there. I understand they're doing what they want against the Nets, but in terms of will a team in the Eastern Conference have an answer for Giannis, I don't know. I mean, I know Miami is doing some good things as well, but when it comes down to it, I think I still trust the Milwaukee Bucks a little bit more than a few of these other teams. The Celtics, I think, are going to give them their best shot, assuming the Bucks make it out of the first round. But I still think the Milwaukee Bucks are valuable here at plus 650.
I beat this drum the whole second half of the season. The Celtics, they're down to 6 to 1. I still think there's value in them to win the title at 6 to 1. I think they're the best team in the NBA. Now their path is going to be difficult. They're going to have to finish off Brooklyn. They're going to have to beat probably Milwaukee and then either Philly or Miami just to get to the finals. I think they're better than all those teams. And then we get to the finals, we'll see if it's Phoenix or Golden State or Memphis or whoever it might be. But I think the Celtics should be maybe 4 to 1 right now. I think there's a full 25% chance they win the NBA title.
Well, this is the first time in the show that I disagree with Devin. I don't like Milwaukee at all. I don't think they're going to win the series. I have a strange hunch that the Bulls they showed last night. And again, I don't want to overreact because it's basically the same situation as the Pels are in, except, well, I don't know. I mean, basically the same situation. We'll see what happens in game 3. I think that's going to tell us a lot. So something's not right with the Bucks. Unlike the Suns, who I think the Suns are just fine. They just they lost Booker and things kind of went weird, and I think they'll be okay. Something's not right with the Bucks. You said it in our group text last night that Milwaukee wasn't playing playoff basketball. They really weren't, and I just don't. I'm not sure that's a one-game thing, so we'll see. But I like the Celtics. Not sure that I like them to win the championship. Plus 600 is okay. There may be a little value there. I think that they played this tournament 6 times in the virtual world that the Celtics would win at least one of them. So it's certainly not bad numbers, but I still think whoever comes out of the West is going to win the championship.
And that's possible. And maybe Celtics to win the Eastern Conference at 3 to 1 or 5 to 2 or whatever you could get it at is a better number. And I will say with Milwaukee, I agree they did not look right, and frankly, they didn't look right in game 1 either. They pulled it out, but they just are they're giving off this vibe we'll turn it on in the fourth quarter and pull this out. The question is, does losing a game change that attitude? Maybe it does, but now you're also down Chris Middleton for a while, so game 3 will be interesting.
Well, the difference is you're talking about a Bulls team that played so well in the beginning of the season, and I know they stomped the second half of the regular season. But if this team gains confidence going across the series, if they win game 3, I think I'd make them favorite to win the series because
I don't know.
That's the kind of team that if they get confidence and Milwaukee just kind of dragging along, playing a little bit here and there. I mean, look, I bet the Bulls money line last night. I may again, I missed the boat on betting the Bulls for the series. Just like I said before, I'm not going to advocate betting that, but
the Bulls,
they got to have a good shot too.
The Bulls were, I forget the exact number of losses. It was 1-21 or something like that against the top 4 seeds from each conference in the regular season. Now, so last night is 2. So now they're 2.
You know what matters? They're 1-1 now. They're 1-1.
But I mean, I guess my point is, Are they going to win 3 more? I don't know. I mean, maybe they're a totally different team than what they showed for months and months and months. But I think at some point the Bucks, even down Chris Middleton, will find a way to win one in Chicago. Maybe the series goes longer than we thought; it goes 6 or 7. But I just don't think the Bulls have enough for them.
I think you're not counting enough on how bad the Bucks have played the last 2 games.
Drew Holiday, by the way, and I know New Orleans loves Drew Holiday. I love Drew Holiday. He was awful last night.
Yeah,
God, he was awful. Turning the ball over. I mean, he was like, he was just like lost. And Giannis wasn't great, but if it weren't for Middleton, they would have gotten blown out last night.
It looked like their heart was in it, to be honest.
Yeah,
that's a problem seriously, when you're at home.
They look like a team that thought, we're at home. It's the Bulls. We beat them all 4 times this year. We'll just turn it on when
they look like.
Time comes. And so we'll see if that wakes them up. Just a few minutes left here on At the Book, brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook on bet.NOLA.com. Want to spend the last few minutes of the show on some football, and then we'll get a Zurich update to end. The USFL resumes this weekend, and it could be – what's the USFL – do they have like a fancy name for their championship game? Is it Super Bowl? So is it the USFL Bowl? No, it's not the Super Bowl. But this is a USFL Bowl preview, potentially. The New Orleans Breakers and the Tampa Bay Bandits, the 2 teams who are at the top of the favorites list.
Can they play in the championship game? I don't
know.
They're in the same conference, so
I don't know. They have conferences? I'm showing
they have divisions.
Okay.
Divisions. 2 divisions, I think.
Is it the Birmingham division and the Birmingham division?
Yeah, the Birmingham 1 and the Birmingham 2. And I'm not sure which one they're in. Look, anyone who didn't watch USFL last week is missing out. I thought the coverage was as good of football coverage as I've seen anywhere in any league, any kind of way. It was fantastic. I mean, the innovations that they had, the NFL absolutely has to look at this and use some of them. I know they're going to have a tough time getting some of these coaches to mic up. I can't imagine Bill Belichick being agreeing to having a mic on him during a game that at least that's going to go live. I mean, maybe he would do it if they're going to be able to edit it later, and they'd have to, filth proof it. But in the NFL, but it just everything else, the replay official being there and they go to him and whatever decision he makes, you can hear him make it on TV. It goes. The officials talking to one another, the being able to talk to the quarterback on the sideline while he's looking at the plays. It's outstanding. So I know no one has gone except for Birmingham fans, and so the non-Birmingham games have gotten no attendance whatsoever, but the ratings have been pretty decent, and I think they got a chance to make it. And as far as the Breakers, talk about defense, they played excellent defense, and now they go against probably if the Breakers are 1 or 1A, then Tampa Bay is 1 or 1A as well. This very well could be the best 2 teams in the USFL playing each other this weekend.
It's like the NFC South, except it's the USFL South. And you're right, by the way, they are in the same division. They could play in the playoffs, but not the championship game. I just learned something, by the way. Instead of listening to Jim, I was searching Google. The playoffs and the championship game are in Canton, Ohio, at the end of June.
At Tom Benson Stadium. That's right.
So that's pretty cool. So that's the story. 2.5 point favorites, and yeah, you're right. By the way, the Breakers, I think, are plus 400 to win the title. They're second favorites. Tampa Bay is plus 350, so they're the favorites. So this is the top two teams. Georgia gives us a let's go Pels.
I pay attention a little bit.
Google's smarter than you are, though.
Maybe a little.
Man, just a little. All right. NFL draft. By the way,
you read on Google.
We got a big – I can't believe everything you say either, though. We got a big announcement to make. You can believe this, that Jim and I will be in Las Vegas for the NFL draft next week at Caesars Palace through our partnership with Caesars. It's a really cool deal for us and for you guys. We'll be live from the draft for At the Book next Friday at 4 o'clock.
I thought it was a cool deal.
Yeah, it's cool. And then we'll also have some live videos during and after the Saints picks. So tune into these Facebook, YouTube channels. We will be on live from Caesars Palace talking about who the Saints are picking. And to that end, of course, there's always a chance they could trade up. But I picked out some guys who have an over-under draft position right around where the Saints are picking. Trevor Penning, offensive tackle from Northern Iowa. Trent McDuffie, I don't think they're taking a corner, so I doubt he's the pick. Probably not taking a linebacker either. But Chris Olave from Ohio State, 16.5. George Karlaftis, defensive end from Purdue. And then Jameson Williams at the bottom. He's 11.5, but the over, meaning a pick later than 11.5, is minus 180. So maybe he's still sticking around. And then threw Derek Stingley on there as well. So, Devin, you did some draft values, and I encourage people to look at bet.NOLA.com for that on people the Saints could pick, could be available for them. What do you think out of some of these guys?
Yeah, I think for the Saints, the clear two needs are at tackle and at receiver. So only one tackle here on the list, Trevor Penning. And honestly, I think it'll be more because the other three guys or other three tackles ahead of him or ranked ahead of him, Ikem Ekwonu, Charles Cross, who I highlighted, and Evan Neal will probably be gone in the top 10, top 12. So for the Saints, I think Penning just makes sense because he's going to be there and slotted there. But I think the two receivers, Chris Olave and Jameson Williams, are going to be an interesting one because I think for the Saints, it's going to be a decision between a receiver that can, really provide a deep threat for, and allow like guys like Marquez Callaway and Michael Thomas to operate more underneath. Or do you want Chris Olave, who's going to be does a little bit of what both Marquez Callaway and Michael Thomas do from the receiving end, but he also can be a deep threat. So I think those are the three names I've kind of pinned. I think only Derek Stingley would maybe be an option if he somehow just fell to 16 for the Saints, but I don't think that will happen. But of the names on the list, I think those are the three that make the most sense for the Saints.
Derek Stingley, interesting because Caesars actually sends out reports saying where a lot of the money is coming, and Stingley has gotten a lot of juice to go in the top 10. In fact, his over-under has moved from 10.5 to 9.5 now. So if the Saints were to want him, I think you've got to trade up, and I certainly don't think they'll trade up for a defensive back at this point. I don't know, Jim. You can never totally predict what the Saints are going to do. I'm kind of getting the feeling they're going to hang on at 16 and 19 and just take two good players, or if anything, maybe trade back and get an extra pick somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I said this. I don't remember whether it was on Datitude or Monday. We do so many shows now, but I think they either they're not moving up. They're either staying at 16 and 19, or they're going to move down with one of those picks, which would make a lot of sense, really. If you take either one of those picks, I think they're going to have multiple options when they pick for the positions that they want. And if there's nothing wrong with maybe trading one of those first-round picks and getting yourself high in the second round and then another first-round pick next year or something along those lines. So and getting that first-round pick that they traded away to Philly. So it could work out well. So if they were able to do that, if they were able to move back into the second round and get an extra first-round pick for next year, which is about what the price is, then they basically get an extra second-round trade pick out of the deal with Philly, and then that trade makes a whole lot more sense. So they may be thinking that. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they trade down with one of those picks.
Yeah, or you move a little bit back in the first round. A guy I really like, Traylon Burks out of Arkansas, wide receiver. He's expected to go mid-20s. Yeah. So if you think he'd be there at 24, say maybe you trade back and you pick up a late second, early third round pick for trading back 5 spots in the first round. Maybe that's the move. I don't know but we will be there live from Caesars Palace in Las Vegas for At the Book next Thursday, just a couple of hours before the draft, and then also next Friday before the second and third round start as well. And by the way, Monday
you're gonna have to keep me awake with all those flights and getting there late, and I mean, we're not gonna be able to stay away from some kind of gambling option.
You're an old man, and you're going to be playing poker all night. Yeah, that's going to be tough. Bernard says Raiders struggling. We're going to win. Who dat? We'll be 8.5-point favorites in that game. I don't know about that, but maybe.
Huh?
8.5-point favorites over the Raiders. That would mean the Saints were doing awfully well by the time that game rolled around.
Would they think we're playing the Raiders in the first? I don't understand what that means.
I guess it's just whenever they do
Raiders
play
in
the Raiders.
December. Okay.
Listen, if it's week 1, it won't be 8.5. I can tell you that much.
I think if it's week 17, it won't be 8.5.
I don't think so either.
I don't know why you're hating on Raiders, Bernard, but that's one of my sneaky Super Bowl picks next year. I hate to blow Zach's head up because he loves the Cars, but I think Derek Carr is going to have a great year next year.
Listen, I like your confidence, Bernard. I do like your confidence. So we will see, and we'll revisit that in the fall. Before we let you go, I want to tell you about Monday, the Bayou Bets show at 4 o'clock live. We're going to do a mock draft for you guys. We're each going to pick, well, the three of us plus Spencer the Guru on, make some picks, and then every fifth pick will be, hey, we're just going to go to Caesars and see who the favorite is for that pick. And we'll go through the whole first round for you over an hour, kind of do it quick, and we'll see who the Saints end up with. I don't think we're going to do any trades. That's a little too complicated. We'll just go ahead and do straight picks. And so it won't match what actually happens next Thursday night, but it will be fun, and it will give us a chance to talk about some of these draft picks and what the odds are and what some of the prop bets and things are for you. So keep it locked to bet.NOLA.com for all your sports betting coverage. Jim, you'll have a Datitude tomorrow, and we'll have all the draft coverage next week. We'll have Zurich Classic coverage. We're rolling through April here.
And we'll have our early Datitude, I think, next week. So I think, like we did 2 Datitudes this week, I think we're going to try to do 2 next week, assuming my travel plans don't get in the way. But we're going to really shoot at that. And Adam Chernoff is coming on next week. We know how much we like him from covers.com. So he's going to have a little something to say about draft analysis and how you can bet and make some money in the NFL draft.
Yeah, that man can drop some knowledge. Devin, before we sign off, drop some knowledge on us, man. What are you thinking about this weekend?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Pelicans are going to be the center of, I think, maybe even the basketball world because everyone's tuning into the series now, especially with Devin Booker out. So I'm just hoping they come out and make this a competitive game. I would hate for them to kind of lay an egg after such an impressive win in Game 2. So I just want to see them take the game to the fourth quarter because I do think they have the better closers in this series compared to the Phoenix Suns. So just hoping they keep it competitive and finishing off the weekend with some USFL football.
Heck yeah. And remember, go to NOLA.com/Caesars. First bet insured up to $1,100 for new users. Special deal for our readers. NOLA.com/Caesars. With that said, Zach Ewing for Devin Jackson and Jim Derry. This has been At the Book. Have a good weekend, everybody.